I now recognize Mr. Fry. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm fascinated by this discussion. I really appreciate y'all lending it because I think one of the biggest issues in this last election was this censorship-industrial complex. Of course, you guys uncovered a lot of that with the Twitter files and the like, and the American people were rightly frustrated that the First Amendment was absolutely bastardized by this last administration. And it happened at the presidential level, and it happened if you were a doctor or if you were an individual concerned about the health and well-being of your family. It happened relentlessly, and we have seen it. And I would think that there might be some recognition on the other side that, you know what, maybe we overextended ourselves. Maybe we should not have gone this far to corrupt the First Amendment the way that we did, but I'm not really hearing that today. Congressman Fitzgerald briefly touched on the State Department's Global Engagement Center, and I'd like to continue that discussion on how the Biden-Harris administration used the GEC to demonetize domestic media outlets and conservative voices. Mr. Taibbi, the Washington Examiner journalist Gabe Kaminsky reported that after Republicans ended funding for the GEC, the Biden-Harris administration made a last-ditch effort to keep it afloat by realigning GEC staff under a new entity, the Counter Foreign Information Manipulation and Interference Hub. Would you say that this hub was just simply a rebranding of the GEC?
Yes, Congressman, absolutely. It's a rebranding. Its mission statement is identical to the mission statement of the GEC as described in 2018 legislation.
Is the rebranding of the GEC an attempt to continue censoring information then, particularly conservative voices that the former administration and its allies deemed to be bad information?
That would be my impression. I think it's important to talk about what Gabe Kaminsky found when he did his series in the Washington Examiner, that the GEC was funding organizations like the Global Disinformation Index and the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, so American money, taxpayer money is sent overseas to foreign entities, which in turn are scoring domestic media outlets and sending that information to digital advertisers like Xandr and other companies. So we have upranking of the Washington Post, Politico, NPR, downranking of the Federalist, Washington Examiner, and other organizations. So we're picking winners and losers, and I say this not as a political conservative, but that's the facts of the situation, is that that's what that money was going for.
Thank you for that. And what role do you think Congress should take to stop those practices from occurring in the future?
I think that the idea of preventing the spending of money on media scoring operations and picking winners and losers, it's not the government's job to try to help one media company succeed over another. That's one of the reasons why we have such terrible media, frankly, is because companies that do a terrible job reporting, they should be accountable to the market, and when they have artificial ability to survive thanks to these subterranean maneuvers, that's one of the reasons why we have such a bad press.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. Following this committee's work last Congress, a group of advertisers actively colluded against conservative media shutdown. Mr. Schellenberger, what role should Congress, the FTC, the DOJ have in preventing the next GARM from resurfacing and colluding to the detriment of speech?
Eternal vigilance. I mean, and God bless you all for what you did around GARM. I mean, it was incredible. This was one of the stories that we uncovered. We had a whistleblower bring to us something called the Cyber Threat Intelligence League, which was an early censorship effort in 2019. And they were basically taking all of these military tactics developed abroad for counterinsurgency, repurposing them into a new manual, a new handbook for how to do it at home. And it included this advertiser pressure, which has been a key component of it. So you can see multiple things are going on. They're creating these supposed non-governmental organizations to then flag information to be censored, and they're putting pressure on the advertisers. They're trying to change the terms of service at the social media companies. I mean, one of the things that Matt just talked about is this group Internews, which we just discovered like 5 minutes ago, which has been spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and the head of it has been out there, World Economic Forum, advocating, pressuring advertisers. That's our taxpayer money going to an organization that's out there demanding pressure on advertisers to demand more censorship of social media platforms.
And so by default, at least under the old regime, the American taxpayer is funding the demise of the First Amendment if we don't do anything about it.
And the good news is that if you defund the thought police, there's not that many there's not many people out there that want to independently fund the thought police. And so if the government stops funding it, we do think it'll shrink quite a bit.
Thank you for that. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yield.